Pause for a moment and take a slow breath. Before you keep scrolling, give this your full attention, because it is not by chance that you are here at this precise moment. The universe does not operate by mistakes. Even digital systems, as impersonal as they appear, often respond to the energy patterns created by where your focus rests. There are moments in life when the heart recognizes something long before the mind can understand it through logic or facts. This is one of those important moments. You are here because despite your doubts, despite the constant questions running through your thoughts about whether this person is thinking of you, whether something unresolved still exists between you, or whether the connection has truly ended, a significant shift has already taken place on a deeper, spiritual level. It was not a conversation you could hear. It was not a message that appeared on your phone. It was not even a clear external sign. It was an internal, profound, and complete decision made in a place beyond your view, formed in silence on the other side. You are hearing this now because your inner self needs clarity about what this unseen movement means for your own direction. It is very possible that for days, weeks, or even months, you have felt an unfamiliar heaviness in your chest, a subtle restlessness you cannot clearly explain. It feels as though something is forming, as though you are waiting for a message that never comes, carrying the sense that the story is not finished, yet also not progressing. This physical response, whether it is tightness in your throat or waking suddenly during the night, is not a weakness and not a product of imagination. Silence can carry far more meaning than spoken words. When the soul becomes unsettled in this way, it is not driven by emotional strain, but by an inner certainty that the mind has not yet caught up with, an awareness that something is about to surface. Your energy system senses a shift in the frequency of this connection. In the same way a sensor detects an object before it becomes visible on the horizon, the person who has occupied so much of your thoughts is no longer in the confusion you believed they were in. They are no longer doubting as before. They are no longer living in that uncertain space where everything felt possible, yet nothing ever took form. There was a recent moment, perhaps a sleepless night, a stretch of solitude while driving, or a quiet pause while staring into the distance, when this person finally faced their true feelings and made a decision. This is what you need to understand today. That decision did not come from ego, from fear of loneliness, or from choosing the easiest option. It came from something far deeper and more enduring. When two souls are meant to meet and evolve together, they cannot escape their connection forever. They can resist it. They can distance themselves physically, create walls of silence, and appear completely indifferent. But there is a point where the accumulated energy no longer allows denial of what is real. That point has already been reached. You feel this rising energy and cautious hope because your soul is naturally connected to theirs. Distance does not matter. Time without communication does not matter. What was said or left unsaid in the past does not matter. There are bonds that cannot be severed by harsh words or temporary external decisions. When a choice is made from the deepest core of one's being, the other person always feels it even without tangible evidence for the mind to analyze. This is why, lately, you hear their voice without any clear reason while you are in the middle of your daily routines. This is why thoughts of this person surface when you least expect them, cutting into your work or even your moments of rest. This is why they appear in your dreams, even on nights when you consciously try to calm your mind before sleep. This is not an unhealthy fixation, and it does not mean you are unable to move forward. It points to a deep and genuine bond. It is evidence that the channel of spiritual connection is open and active. Many people mistakenly believe that destined love or soul connections are always gentle, obvious, simple and smooth, like something taken from a storybook. Spiritual reality, however, works very differently. True love, the kind that reaches the core of a person, often unsettles the ground beneath them. It can bring discomfort, force confrontation with hidden inner shadows, accelerate personal growth, and uncover old wounds that one would prefer to keep hidden. This person had to face all of this during their period of distance. They were required to look honestly into the mirror of their own soul, without the social masks they usually wear, and ask themselves whether they would continue running from their truth or finally find the courage to accept what they have always felt for you. You may have believed that confusion still controlled their life and that everything remained frozen in place. That is not the case. A decision has already been made. Even if you do not yet see it reflected through immediate external actions, it already exists and moves at a spiritual level. When something is firmly resolved on that level, the physical world, the reality you can see and touch, only needs time to align with it and make it visible. Once inner will aligns with destiny, nothing can prevent that manifestation. This message is not meant to create false hope or keep you trapped in emotional pain. It is meant to bring clarity to your inner knowing. Some choices are not endings but major turning points. Some decisions appear as distance on the surface, while in truth they are preparation. The silence you have experienced is not abandonment, it is a necessary inner shift. This person needed space and time to determine whether they were ready to face the full weight of what they feel for you. In the end, they did. Now, pay attention to what happens in your body as you take in these words. Do not analyze them with the rational mind. Listen to your inner sense. The body does not deceive. The soul does not deceive. If you notice a strange blend of calm and quiet hope, it is because this message aligns with what your higher awareness already understood. If you feel tears rising, it is because something heavy is being released. An emotional pressure valve is opening. If you sense tension in your stomach slowly easing, it is because truth is touching an old wound in order to heal it. You are not waiting on someone who is incapable of choosing. You are part of a meaningful process in which energies are arranging themselves so that what has already been decided can appear in the correct form and at the right moment. Sometimes this appearance does not match the images created by the imagination. Sometimes it does not follow the timeline demanded by an impatient ego. Yet it always arrives in the way the soul needs for growth. If you are prepared to accept this lesson into your life, write in the comments, "I am ready to receive." To understand the full scale of what is happening, we must look closely at the nature of this silence that has caused so much pain. It is easy to misinterpret a lack of contact. In a fast-moving culture, we assume that no message means no care. No call is often taken as a sign of forgetting. But in deep connections, silence can be one of the most active spaces of development. This person did not choose to step back lightly or without thought. It was not an impulsive decision or a brief emotional reaction. It was the outcome of a long, quiet, and often isolating inner struggle, a conflict between what their heart felt and what their conditioned mind believed was necessary for survival. For a long time, they tried to persuade themselves, using logic and reasoning, that they could move on without looking back. They attempted to distract themselves with excessive work, to fill empty spaces with shallow activities, and even to connect with others to see if the feeling they had with you could be found elsewhere. Yet nothing erased the persistent sense that something between you remained unfinished, a door that refused to close, no matter how much effort was applied. When a bond is real and rooted in the spiritual realm, it cannot be replaced. It may be ignored or covered with noise, but it cannot be erased. Every failed escape, every distraction that ended in emptiness brought this person closer to an inevitable moment of choice. Some choices are quiet. They don't announce themselves with loud declarations, long messages, or grand promises online. Instead, they are felt in the subtle weight of daily life. This person began to sense the heavy cost of not being true to themselves. The emptiness they experienced wasn't from distance, but from denying their own truth. Suppressing their feelings for you drained their energy and stole their peace. Eventually, living a lie became unsustainable. The effort required to hold back genuine love is immense, and they no longer had the strength to keep pretending. Perhaps during your darkest nights, you wondered if you had done something wrong, spoken too much, been too open, or if your love had overwhelmed the other person. Hear this clearly. It wasn't your intensity that caused the struggle. It wasn't your love that pushed them away. It was their temporary inability to handle the magnitude of their feelings at that time. Some souls need space to understand the gifts they've always sought. When such gifts arrive, fear often emerges, fear of being unworthy or of losing it, prompting an instinct to protect and close off. This person had to confront deep, powerful fears, losing control over a carefully ordered life, fully surrendering and becoming vulnerable, repeating past heartbreaks, or failing to meet the needs of this connection authentically. Amid this emotional storm, they stepped back. Not because they felt nothing, but because they felt too much. Intense emotion can be frightening for those unaccustomed to it. Yet, time has a remarkable quality: it restores balance. As days passed and external noise faded, their inner voice became impossible to ignore. In that quiet, they realized that staying away did not bring the peace they sought. Delaying the truth only amplified guilt and longing. They came to see that what happened with you was not a random twist of fate or brief confusion. It was a meant-to-be encounter that reshaped their life story. The choice they made recently is significant. It's more than sending a message or arranging a meeting. It's a life decision, a commitment to stop lying to themselves, to accept that some bonds exist not for ease but for transformation. You were, and continue to be, the catalyst for this change. This may explain a recent sense of emotional fatigue you've felt, as if you've released the need to control outcomes. This weariness isn't surrender, it's spiritual growth. It is your soul acknowledging, I've done my part, now I trust the larger flow. When one lets go of trying to control everything, resistance fades and energy moves naturally. Don't assume this inner choice guarantees instant or flawless results. Meant to be love rarely follows a straight path. There may be slow progress and necessary adjustments, but the difference is profound when doubt no longer divides the heart. Once the heart aligns with truth, its energy flows toward it like a river toward the sea. Even if the mind hesitates, walls are still up, or life circumstances require adjustment. They are no longer trapped in the same emotional space. They are no longer torn in two. They no longer run aimlessly. Now they recognize their own feelings. They have accepted them, and that changes everything. Being meant to be loved does not always come with complete safety or formal assurances. Sometimes, it arrives after storms, hard lessons, and the painful process of learning what you don't want in order to understand what you truly do want. During this period of separation, both individuals grow. Even in silence, growth continues. You too have changed. You are no longer the same person you were at the beginning. Looking back, you'll notice that you've learned to trust your intuition more clearly. Establish healthy boundaries, and recognize that you don't have to plead for care because you are inherently worthy. You've learned to stand strong even when you felt like falling. All of these experiences were necessary so that when your energies reconnect, They do so from a wiser, more aware and authentic place. Nothing you endured was meaningless. Every tear, every night of questions, and every effort to let go contributed to profound inner transformation. This process is now entering a new phase, where this person's choices begin to align with your own growth. That's why your spiritual awareness must detect movement even when outward appearances suggest silence. Understand that reality is often shaped in the unseen before manifesting in the visible world. To reach this clarity, this person had to confront a quiet internal challenge, something entirely unrelated to you, stemming from their own hidden struggles. To truly grasp why the separation occurred and what has changed, it's essential to consider a concept often overlooked in ordinary relationships. During this quiet period, you may have doubted yourself, thinking you weren't enough or fearing they had lost interest. Spiritually, the truth is the opposite. They didn't leave because of a deficiency on your side. They left because, with you, they could no longer avoid confronting themselves. Here we encounter the idea of the shadow. All the parts of ourselves we suppress to conform, including fears and traits we were taught to hide. Imagine every person carries a concealed bag of traits they do not wish others to see. Before meeting you, this individual had constructed a life that kept this bag tightly closed, with a social mask for everyday interactions. Then you arrived like a bright light. When two people connect deeply, a mirror effect occurs. You became a mirror reflecting their true self. In your presence, they saw aspects of themselves they hadn't resolved. Your love revealed their fear of surrender. Your honesty highlighted their lies. Your courage exposed their insecurities. It's crucial to understand this so you stop blaming yourself. Light can overwhelm someone who has long lived in darkness. The natural response isn't gratitude, it's to shut their eyes and retreat back to the shadows. That is exactly what happened. The withdrawal was not directed at you. It was a form of self-protection. This person felt exposed and out of control. For someone whose life depended on maintaining control, that feeling was threatening. That is why the distance appeared sudden and difficult to explain. They relied on excuses because they were unable to admit that your love unsettled them. Growth begins when hidden aspects are brought into awareness. That is the process you initiated in their life. You were the catalyst. Without your presence, they could have remained unaware for years. Your energy accelerated what was already beneath the surface. By creating space, they could no longer place responsibility for their inner conflict on you. The silence forced them to confront their own thoughts without distraction. The pain of the separation carries deeper significance. Genuine love often feels uncomfortable at the beginning. It disrupts long-standing ego patterns to allow the authentic self to emerge. This person needed to face their unresolved issues alone. They had to confront fears of abandonment and inadequacy. This internal struggle is exhausting, which is why they may appear irritated or emotionally distant. That reaction is not directed toward you. It reflects the pressure of dismantling an artificial identity. It is the strain that accompanies transformation. Just as physical muscles ache during growth, the inner self experiences discomfort when expanding. What appeared to be emotional detachment was, in reality, intense internal effort. They were working to integrate the parts of themselves that your presence awakened. Once awareness is achieved, it cannot be undone. After forming a bond with you, their previous lifestyle felt hollow. Ordinary conversations lost meaning. Superficial connections no longer felt acceptable. The influence you introduced broke through long-standing emotional defenses. This journey toward authenticity is the most meaningful contribution you made to their life. You compelled them to seek completeness within themselves. We often believe that love requires constant proximity. However, in some cases, Physical separation is necessary to protect the potential for a deeper spiritual connection. If the relationship had continued while they were unprepared, it would have deteriorated. Distance provided a secure space to confront inner struggles without causing mutual harm. You needed to learn release, and they needed to discover truth. Now the circumstances have shifted because the hidden aspects have been acknowledged. The energy once spent suppressing emotions is no longer constrained. Energy does not disappear, it redirects. The force that was used to escape has taken a new course. Emotional barriers have collapsed. They now recognize that your presence was meant to heal, not to threaten. This realization transforms fear. Fear no longer governs their choices. They no longer interpret your love as a loss of freedom, but as a pathway to genuine freedom. They understand that the true confinement was their ego. This represents a complete reversal. What once seemed dangerous now feels safe. Where they felt compelled to flee, they now feel drawn to return. You did nothing wrong by expressing intensity. That disruption was necessary. You served as the force that cleared stagnation. As clarity develops, a conscious decision remains. This choice is no longer driven by fear or immaturity. It comes from an evolved inner awareness taking responsibility. This transformation may be unseen, but it is strongly felt on an energetic level. When resistance to destiny ends, it creates momentum. You are directly impacted by that shift. This is why your own sense of fear has changed. You perceive a connection even without communication. The emotional barrier has dissolved. Feelings are now moving in your direction. Your body registers this before your mind does. The subtle connection between two individuals is now transmitting more clearly. The sensations you have recently noticed confirm that the resistance is gone. This leads to the concept of emotional telepathy. You may experience an ordinary moment when an unexpected wave of sadness or happiness appears. Nothing external has changed. These emotional fluctuations are the result of empathic resonance. You are sensing their emotional state as it occurs. Sudden sadness reflects their longing and emotional pain from being separated from you. Your happiness is their source of hope, and this connection continues to grow even while you sleep. The dream state is the place where the soul communicates most clearly. If you find yourself waking up between 3000 and 4000 a.m., this is not by chance. This is a time when the boundary between worlds feels thinner. If your first thought is of them, it means their mind is reaching out to you as well. Dreams become more vivid during this phase because they are no longer just imagination, they are energetic or astral encounters. Before continuing, take a moment to pause. If this resonates with you, ground that feeling. Go to the comments and write, "I deserve." This simple action signals to the universe that you are ready for love to appear in a tangible way. Write it with confidence. By doing so, you are telling reality that you are prepared to receive what truly belongs to you. Now, pay attention to synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that seem to have no logical explanation. The universe is adjusting external circumstances to support this meeting. You may start seeing their name repeatedly. Certain numbers may appear again and again. Songs may play at exactly the right moment. These are signs that things are being aligned behind the scenes. Your role during this time is to remain calm and centered. The less you chase, the more easily what is meant for you can reach you. What has already been decided at a deeper level is never lost. It always arrives at the right moment. As you move through this final stage, it is important to understand that the energy is now shifting from the spiritual realm into the physical one. This is often the hardest phase because your soul senses how close it is, yet your physical reality still looks unchanged. This contrast between what you feel inside and what you see outside is a test of trust. You may experience a sudden impulse to contact them or feel restlessness in your hands and feet. This is simply the sign of a connection being fully reactivated in your life. You are sensing the magnetic pull of two people being drawn back together after a long separation. You may also notice a shift in how you remember the past. Situations that once caused anger or sadness now feel distant and powerless. This indicates that healing has taken place. You are no longer seeking explanations or apologies. Instead, you are ready to experience a renewed version of the relationship. This process is happening for them as well. They are releasing the guilt that kept them away for so long. They are beginning to see that their fear was only an illusion, and that the love they feel is the only thing that truly matters. You might start noticing subtle reminders of them in your daily life. You may sense their familiar scent in places they have never been, or feel a sudden warmth on your skin, as if they were nearby. These experiences are not imagination, they are energetic traces. The distance between you is decreasing every day. The universe is removing the final barriers, which are often simple, practical matters such as schedules, physical distance, or other people stepping aside. Everything is being cleared so that when you meet again, there is nothing left to hide behind. Your responsibility right now is to stay open and prevent old fears from returning. Avoid asking when or how, because those are questions driven by the ego. The soul already understands that the timing is exact. Move through your days with the quiet assurance of someone who is already whole. Treat yourself with the care and respect you wish to receive, because the way you value yourself sends a clear signal about how you expect to be treated when they return. This waiting period is not about being stuck. It is about the final stage of growth, like fruit reaching full ripeness before it falls. As the energy continues to build, you may notice an unusual calm in your thoughts. This happens because the restless voice of the ego is finally losing its influence. You are entering a state where there is no need to chase or prove anything. In this inner stillness, the universe moves most efficiently. You may naturally lose interest in distractions that once occupied your attention. You are being prepared for a high-level encounter, and your spirit is clearing space to receive what is approaching. At the same time, this person is going through an intense emotional purification, a period of deep inner reckoning and transformation of the heart. They are reflecting on every moment they allowed fear to guide them instead of choosing you, realizing how much time was lost. This awareness becomes the catalyst for change. At this point, they are no longer questioning whether they should return, but are focused on how to do so in a way that honors the bond you share. They want to present their best self. This is why the silence may stretch a little longer just before the breakthrough. It's the sound of them gathering courage to be fully honest with you for the first time. You may notice people from your past or new potential interests appearing unexpectedly. This is a common spiritual test. The universe is checking if you are genuinely ready for the deep, transformative love you've been waiting for, or if you will settle for something easier and more superficial. Stay aligned with your frequency. Do not let these distractions disturb the peace you have cultivated. Your stability is actually helping the other person find their way back to you. You are like a lighthouse guiding a ship through a dense fog. Soon, the bridge between the unseen and the visible will be crossed. It usually begins with a small, seemingly random event, a like on a post, a brief neutral message, or a chance encounter in a public space. These are the first drops of rain before the storm of emotions arrives. When it happens, avoid overthinking or rushing to bring up past pain. Simply be present, the connection will communicate itself. You have done the hard work of waiting and growing. Now you are invited to witness the results. In this final stage of the shift, you will sense a distinct change in the energy around you. This is total alignment. You reach a point where you no longer need signs because you have become the sign. Your energy stabilizes into a frequency of knowing. This is the most magnetic and attractive state a person can reach. It is a calm power that draws the other person toward you irresistibly. They feel your peace from afar, making them crave the safety and presence you offer. On their side, the universe is orchestrating a series of events to guide them back. Whenever they try to focus elsewhere, your image surfaces. When they attempt a different path, doors close, they are being led toward the truth, and their life is realigning so that the only open path leads to you. They begin to recognize that the freedom they thought they had without you was actually a prison of loneliness. They are now ready to exchange old, cold independence for the warmth of a deep, real union. Expect a sudden shift in your own energy, perhaps a surge of creativity or a desire to enhance your surroundings. This is your soul instinctively preparing a welcoming space. You act from a sense of abundance already present, not merely in anticipation of their return. Meanwhile, they are also improving themselves, ending old habits, leaving toxic circles, and clearing their inner world to ensure the reunion is a fresh start, not a repetition of past patterns. The final barrier to fall is pride. They are swallowing the last remnants of ego and preparing the words needed to bridge the gap. When they reach out, it will likely begin humbly, a soft opening, a slightly ajar door to see if you are still there. Trust that your soul will respond perfectly. You have endured the fire and emerged transformed. The story is moving from shadowed darkness into the bright light of a new chapter.